Hey everybody, this is Sue Craig, your Stampin' Up! Demonstrator here in Cleveland, Ohio. And today I have a pinwheel card for you. A friend of mine shared a picture of the card and the measurements of the designer paper, and that was about it. So we had to figure out how to make it. I did make a second one just to get the hang of how to do this. And when you make this, you'll find that it makes two cards with the paper that you cut for these triangles. So let me show you what we're going to use. I'm going to use the Scalloped Blooms stamp set. I really like this set because it has script writing, it has printing, and it has a lot of nice sentiments that are general and can be used for a lot of different things. Happy birthday, thinking of you. You're a blessing to me. I really like that one. For my stamps, when we get them, I take my Sharpie marker, and on the thick side, I draw a line around the stamps, the shape of the stamps, so that I know where the stamps are going to go. And I know some people stamp the stamps on paper and then match it up to that, but I don't have time for that. I just draw and go. But I also take packing tape, clear packing tape, and put it on the end so that I can take the thin piece, fold it back, use my stamps, and then I know exactly where this thin piece is when I'm cleaning up. Do you ever do like this? Where did I put that? I don't do that anymore because now I use packing tape. This bundle also has some really nice dies with it, and one of the things I've done to make it a whole lot more useful, and you might find this helpful for you, is I've taken the dies and cut out different shapes for these and put them on my desk, so that when I get to the point in one of my cards of needing a sentiment, I can just take something from here that fits the size that I need and use it. That way, these are being used instead of sitting in a drawer and I forget about it. They also have circles. They're scalloped circles, and they alternate. The first one is plain, and then there are dots, then plain, then dots on the edge, and plain and dots, and it goes all the way down to the small flower. And what they do with that is that can be used to make a flower. Here are the flower centers, and then here are the leaves for the flowers. So it's really a handy set. We're going to use the Fern and Flora, not Florida, Fern and Flora 3D embossing folder. On the sample that I saw, they did not use it. I am one that really likes to have texture, and so I do use texture. On this one, that's a little harder to see. Let me show you the other sample I did here. That may be a little harder, but I did use some texture, and it really looks pretty. So I like to add that to my cards. We're going to be using the In Color Butterflies from 2026 to 2028. So we'll move those off to the side. And I'm also going to be using this small and large oval punches for my sentiments. And I did that using designer paper. In case you don't use designer paper, this is a nice way to use it, especially those little scraps. I'm going to put this off to the side. Excuse me. What we're going to need as far as paper, we're going to need 2 pieces of designer paper. And that designer paper can be like here, dark and light, or patterned and not a pattern. So that's what I have here, pattern and not a pattern. I'm going to set that off over here. To build our triangle base, we're going to need a piece of cardstock. It could be white, vanilla, whatever color. I liked the way it looked with a piece of color paper that is part of the color collection. So this is Mossy Meadow, and that is in the color collection. Oh, I forgot to tell you. Excuse me. Brushed with Beauty is the name of the designer paper I'm using, and so that's where I've pulled all these colors from. So 3 3/4 by 5. Don't worry about writing any of this stuff down because it's going to be in the description below. All right. The next layer is Petal Pink, and Petal Pink is 4 inches by 5 1/4 inches. And again, I got these from the designer paper, and I'll show you what I do. I cut my designer paper down to 4 by 6. So it comes as a 12 by 12 set, this one does. And I also put where I got it from because often my customers will ask. Then what I do is I list the colors, and the colors are always listed on the big 12 by 12 pack. It tells you what the colors are that are in that pack. So I just transfer that to a smaller one. And this is what I keep at my desk in my files right by my desk. So that when I'm pulling this out, I go, okay, I know I need, oh, what was that color? It's this color. And then I can mix and match with these colors. So that's how I came up with the colors to use for my cardstock today. And this is Calypso Coral. That's going to be our card base. I know it looks like pumpkin pie on the screen, but it's Calypso Coral. And that is, sorry, 5 1/2 by 8 1/2. We're going to score it at 4 1/4. I have a piece for the inside, and that's going to be vanilla, and that's 4 by 5 1/4. And that's a standard. And then I have a piece for the bottom of the inside right here. And this is the piece that was left over after I cut out the designer paper. When I cut the designer paper, this was left over. I didn't want a small scrap, so I just said, we're going to use this inside. That's what we did. So we're going to start with these, the designer paper. Pardon me. The first thing that we're going to do is we're going to cut them in half. Now I have to tell you, when they said to cut it in half, here's the measurements, okay? 3 1/2 by 4 3/4. My little brain was going, okay, 3 1/2. What's half of 3 1/2? Well, I don't know. What's half of 3? Well, what's half of a half? What I did was I took a piece of computer paper, scrap paper, whatever, and I cut it to 3 1/2 by 4 3/4. You can do this too. It's so much easier. And then what I did was I folded it in half. Just folded it in half. Okay? I'm not going to really do it here, but just fold it in half. And then where the fold is, you cut it. Well, I measured it, so this is your advantage now. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to cut this in half. So I'm going to take the 4 3/4 side first. The 4 3/4 side, we're going to cut to 2 3/8. I know it's eighths. Don't worry about it. 2 3/8 is just a little bit shorter than 2 1/2. All right, and you may not be able to see very well here, but if I go to 2 and then 2 1/2, my scoring here is in 16ths. So I know that if I want an eighth less, I go back 2 little lines. 1, 2. So that's 3/8. So we're going to cut. Woohoo! All right, now we have to cut 3 1/2 in half. And that is 1 3/4. Whew, no eighths on that one. Thank goodness. All right, one set. And I am cutting 2 at a time. 1 3/4 I got to concentrate while I am talking here. All right. Now, we need to trim not trim them, we need to cut them again because instead of rectangles, we want triangles. And I want you to notice something on here. The triangles are cut two different ways. One set of triangles is cut from the right side, the top right, down to the bottom left. The top right down to the bottom left. So these two were cut the same. If you look at the other two, they were cut from the top left down to the bottom right. The top left down to the bottom right. So that's what we have to do with these. So if it's easier for you, here's what we'll do. These are on the bottom. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut these like this from the top left to the bottom right. So I'm going to hold the left side. You don't have to do this, but for me, it helps me a whole lot in lining them up because then I don't forget by the time I get over here which part I'm supposed to be cutting. So I line up the point at both ends in the track and I put this down. And you notice I put down the blade between, it's right on the piece of paper. And now I'm going to hold this down. I will cut up and cut down. And that's so that I don't damage the point on this. All right, I need to do the same thing with this one. Again, I'm going to hold the left-hand side. Whoops, I need both of them. The left-hand side goes in the channel. All right, this goes down. I hold it up and down. Now I have mine that are cut starting at the left-hand side. So now I need to grab these and we're going to cut them from the right-hand side. So I'm grabbing it on the right-hand side and putting it in the channel. Again, I'm going to hold this, drop this down, hold it, cut up, cut down. Whoops. Take this one. Again, I'm going to hold the right-hand side, put that in the channel, the cutting channel here. Move this so that it is right on my paper. Cut up, cut down. Okay, now we're going to get rid of the paper trimmer. I want to keep the ones that we did from the top right and the top left separate for right now. Yes, we do still have two pieces. Remember, I said when we cut these, you're going to have enough to make 2 cards. So we're going to need our Mossy Meadow. And I like to bring the card that I'm making and put it in front of me so that I have easy access and it makes it a lot simpler for me. I also like to use tweezers and glue because the glue will help me be able to move it a little bit. So I'm going to start with this and I'm going to lay this pattern out. So I'm going to start just like this one did with my pattern here. And then I need an orange one. So I'll take the one that's underneath. Now I need a flower. So I take the flowered one. And now I need an orange one. So I take the one beneath. Okay, now I need a flower one. You can see what we're doing. We're just, whoops. Oh, I mixed them up here. So it has to go this way. And then the orange one. And then the flower one. and then the orange one. So it helps to lay this out ahead of time. So now when you're building it, you don't get confused. You can see right now without our glue, we've got the pieces in the correct place. You can also see that we have the same number of pieces left that we have here. So these will be used for another card. So I'm going to start by putting some glue on this. You can use whatever adhesive you like. I like to use the tweezers and the glue because I can, like I'm doing here, I can put it close to the edge, hold it up with the tweezers, and then when I get it where I want, I can remove the tweezers and push it down. And I don't know why I start here and not here. I think it's because I can see this side a whole lot better. But it doesn't really matter. I mean, you're going to get them all glued anyway. But I think that's why I start there. And again, I'm holding this up except for the part that's down on the paper. And when I have this where I want it, I'll let go and let it fall. This is not going to be perfect as far as around the border. And that's okay because you can trim this if you're not happy with how your border came out. I know there are people that probably will get a perfect border and they'll get perfect position between each one of them. And I'm not one of those people, but I'm also not a perfectionist. I could never do this. Like if it was quilting, I could never do this because I'm not a perfectionist. I like to show people this was handmade. It was made with care, and I'm a person, not a machine, and you benefit from that because somebody cared enough to take their time and energy to make it. So how about that? Anyway, I really enjoy what I do. I really enjoy it. You know, I was a teacher for 35 years and I'm still teaching, but I'm teaching what I love. Another thing that I love. But these students want to be here. When I have ladies that come for classes, they want to be here. They do talk a lot, though. They do talk a lot, so they can be disruptive, but it's always fun. Always fun. And we all come away learning something, even as the teacher. I'm telling you, by the time Friday rolls around, my Friday class, I tell them all the time they benefit the most because all the classes have had people giving me ideas all week of how they might alter what I've shown them so that the Friday class gets all the ideas. Of course, I share them in an email after the classes are over, but they benefit and they love it. But I really do love it. People have their own way of doing things and they're very creative and they do things I never thought of. So it's wonderful, wonderful to see how different people are. All right, so we have this finished. Now what I want to do is I want to take this and put it in my embossing folder. Now if you have an embossing folder and you have a specific place where you want this to be, it's really easy just to pull your folder up and hold your cardstock on your folder and move it around and decide where do you want. Like this has a fern that's twisted and it might look real cute here in the middle. So I'm going to line it up so that's in the middle. All right, I have an electric machine because I'm having shoulder issues, so I will be back and that's the noise you're going to hear. The machine that helps me get the work done. But we're going to be using the white plate and the gray plate. So the plate we used is plate 4 and plate 1, because this is a 3D embossing folder. That's what it looks like. Ooh, ooh, can you see that? The ferns coming across? That looks really pretty. All right. So now what we're going to do is we'll do our layering. And in order to layer, I take my cardstock and put the glue on the cardstock that's right here. I put it a little bit inside, and then I lift this. That way when I'm lifting, there's no glue that's going on my fingers. I'm going to hold from the edges, opposite sides, and lay it down. So my fingers are not anywhere near the glue. And I like to turn it over so that I don't accidentally move the cardstock. Now we're going to position it on this. And even though you have used your bone folder and folded this, sometimes it will raise up. And sometimes I don't want to mess with that. And so I just open it so this is flat. So I'm going to take my card base and do the same thing. Put my glue around the border, hold opposite sides, and bring my layer down. Again, I'm going to turn it over, push down. Okay, and usually I will do my bone folder on the back here when I have a very layered piece like this, because I don't want a chance moving it. Okay, now we want to do some stamping. So I'm going to take a piece for the inside, and I'm going to take my piece here. And you notice I'm keeping my small oval on the larger part because it makes it easier for me to see this small oval. Anytime you're working with something that's a lighter color, it's always easier to stamp when you have it on something. You know, this might even be better. Take a look. So then when you're stamping, you can judge a whole lot easier where the center is on that. All right, so we're going to bring this down. There's our hugs. Then we'll stamp the inside. And I just put thinking of you. If I hear that something else might benefit somebody, like if they said, oh, we would like it if you would do praying for you or whatever, something like that, then I can always add something like that if I want. So that's Mossy Meadow that we just stamped in. And I'm going to take my piece of scrap that was left over. I love using scraps. I love using them up so I don't have to store them. I'm going to add this to the bottom. I'm going to leave a little bit of the vanilla showing at the bottom. All right. And I'll take this. Again, I'm going to put my glue on. I'm not going to touch the stuff. Also, if you are a person who really hates glue, you can use your tweezers like this to hold your paper and make sure you have it correct all the way around and release it. All right, and the front. We'll put a little bit of glue here. And sometimes I do this so that I can see where it's going to go. Then we'll take some dimensionals. I love to do dimension, not only in embossing folders, but also with these dimensionals to pop it up a little bit. And this is nice to do too. If you take your tweezers, you can hold it and see where you might want this to be. I know you can do it with your fingers, but for me, it's a whole lot nicer to look at it without my fingers in the way. So I think I'm going to put it down here just so that it's a little bit different. And then we'll take our butterflies and add them. When I do the butterflies or any of the embellishments, I like to put some on my sentiment, kind of to bring your eye to the sentiment. And then for this, I think maybe we'll put something in the middle, right where that is. I've seen people use buttons or circles or whatever. You could do whatever you like. If you wanted to put ribbon in there, you could do that as well. Well, that's our card for the day. It's a cool pinwheel card using the paper brushed with beauty. I hope you like the card. I hope you give it a try. And thanks for watching.